now let's talk about campaign structure. So first, let's go over some quick targeting guidelines. The way that I always start every campaign as far as targeting goes is number one, by country, and number two, by the broad idea. So this will be like, we'll talk about this more, but the one broad match phrase that you're going to have in that whole campaign. So each campaign, we're going to talk about more, but each campaign is going to have 2 ad groups to start with, and that campaign is going to be focused on a central concept. So here's 2 different concepts here: digital marketing services and bone broth. Now, those are just 2 examples of a campaign. So if, for example, the bone broth is from like a paleo business, so not every bone broth isn't as relevant to every single thing in paleo as, you know, specifically if you're selling like a bone broth specific recipe book or whatever, or, you know, digital training series or whatever, it's going to be different than paleo dessert. So you need to split them up, and so give bone broth its own campaign. This took me a long time to learn. Maybe it's obvious, you know, to a lot of you. You might be like, how could that take you so long to learn? But it took me a long time, a lot of trial and error. But so let's just get that handled for you right away, so you never make that mistake. So the other thing is to always have each country be its own campaign. Just every country performs so differently with different offers and different products and everything. Just people in different countries just act differently, and they completely respond differently to different products. So always separate them out. I know the ad platforms tend to encourage you to lump US and Canada together. I would not do that. US and Canada perform completely differently on every product I've ever seen. So always split them out. And if you have no sort of guiding principle here, you have no idea where to start, always just start with the US. Bing has the most traffic for the US, and most offers work the best in the US, I think. But that could just be because most of my experience is in the US. You may be laughing because you have made tons of money selling to people in Germany or whatever. But if you don't have that secret knowledge, then just trust this process and just start with the US. If you're promoting affiliate products, start with the US. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. So just start there. I've tried some other countries, and it's just always best to start with the US, then go to Canada, etc. So this is how you should structure your campaigns around a central concept that you're going to use one broad match, and then we'll talk more about keywords in a second, and then make it for the country, so the US. Again, these are all rough guidelines. Obviously, if you're selling something that's very specific to each city or each country, then you would do it, or to each state and to each city, then you could do that same concept for that. But if you don't have a more specific situation than this, then just start with the country. All right, so the next thing is just start off with all devices. Devices are going to perform very differently, but you don't know which ones are going to perform how. And I actually just recently tried splitting out devices into their own campaigns and even ad groups, and it didn't really perform that well for me. So I'm just going to stick with making percentage bid adjustments. You may try something else that works better for you, but I think this is the best place to start, which is just let all of the devices run, let your tracking collect data, whether you're using Bing or you're using a click tracking service like ClickMagick. Then just let them collect, watch your conversions, and then if you can make these bid adjustments. Let's say your target CPA, like we talked about before, is $50 because the product that you're selling is $70. So anything below 50 or below, you're going to be happy. Well, once you start running some traffic on desktop, you see that you're getting $29 conversions on average, $29 CPAs on average. That's great. On tablets, actually this is more common. So on smartphones, let's say you're getting $29 on desktop, and then on smartphone you're getting $49, and you're like, okay, well that's not amazing, but still good, still under my target CPA, still making a profit, great. But on tablets, and this is very common, tablets, you're getting $250 CPA. So it's not even close. It's just a blowout. It's a waste of money. So there's two different things you can do. We'll talk about them more in other parts of the course, but basically you could either turn down the tablet bid by like 80 or 90% so that tablets are only being bid on at 10% what they normally would, what the other devices are. So then maybe it'll drop that $250 CPA down to a tolerable 30, 40, 50. Or you can just say, especially in the beginning, and especially if you're working on a budget, you don't have a big budget, then you want to be more conservative and just say, all right, get rid of tablet. Maybe later I can go back and see if I can make it work. But for now, I'm cutting all the things that aren't working. So tablet isn't working, cutting it out. And then you just say decrease by 0. But we'll cover that in other sections. But as a default, when you're just setting up and you're getting your campaigns going, keep all the devices on, because you don't know. You never know. You can't guess. You just have to test it out and see. And you have to look at your data. Now, the next thing we're covering is manual CPC. So I'll talk about these different options here, but I always start with manual CPC, especially for affiliate marketing. We'll talk about that in a second. But basically, even if you're going to do automated, if you own your own product, your website, and you want to do automated bidding, it sounds nice in the beginning because you're like, ooh, I can just let them do all the work. It sounds great. I've never had that experience. Usually you have to train the conversion data for quite a while, and then at some point the automated bidding can pick up the slack from there. But just letting automated bidding run in the beginning is not very effective, at least not right now in 2018, and not on platforms like Bing and AdWords. Perhaps Facebook is a little bit different, but even that, from my experience on Facebook, you still have to start off with a good chance for it to get conversions so it can start optimizing. So anyways, maybe that's all a little bit too advanced. Just start off with manual bid. You'll have a lot of control. You'll really start to get to a feel for how to adjust in paid traffic and in PPC. So it's a great place to start. It gives you full control. And then I'll talk about something else here. Turn off enhanced CPC, especially for affiliates. If you're doing affiliate marketing, enhanced CPC is completely worthless to you, because what enhanced CPC is let's say you bid 50 cents a click and you say, I'm willing to spend, up to 50 cents a click. Well, normally if you're using manual, then you'll never spend more than 50 cents. Like, that's the max that you will spend to get a click. If you do enhanced CPC, then the platform Bing is going to try to get more conversions for you. So sometimes instead of bidding 50 cents, it might say, hey, it's 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. My big data, database says that on average, conversions in this general niche are higher on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. So I'm going to, instead of bidding the 50 cents that they said they were willing to bid, I'm actually going to bid 75 cents. And that can actually just be ruinous to your campaigns and create a lot of confusion. And we'll talk about it all throughout the course, but you always want to be in control and understand what's going on. So don't use enhanced CPC. If you have your own product, then that's a little bit different, but that's just a nuance we'll cover later. If you're doing affiliate marketing though, just turn this off. It's never going to help you because Bing isn't going to know anything about your conversions. Basically, you're going to be measuring your conversions inside your click tracker and inside your affiliate software. So you're never going to give Bing the data that it needs to use enhanced CPC correctly. So it's just going to be a waste of money because it's still going to try to bid more at certain times. It's just going to be basing that data on nothing, basically, or really, really bad broad data that applies to lots of industries and niches. not good. Just turn off enhanced CPC. If you have your own product, still start with manual if you're completely new to this, and then eventually you can turn on enhanced CPC and see if the results are better. All right, so just leave all of these things alone. You don't have to worry about them in the beginning, and we'll talk about them more later. And then you want to split every single campaign into 2 different ad groups. This is really important and really core fundamental of the Bing Ads Bootcamp 2.0 is this strategy, which I will cover in depth later. But just know, if you already know the strategy or you're already familiar with this, then I just want to include it on this list of quick start to get going. But as a rule of thumb, always split syndicated and Bing traffic into 2 different ad groups within the campaign. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. I'll explain it later in great detail, and I'll mention it many times. But if you do know what it means, then just keep that as a guideline. Always split them. They perform completely differently. You optimize them differently, and this alone has created the most amount of dramatic effect on campaigns for people that I've worked with, students that I've taught in my own campaigns. So this is the most important thing for structuring your campaign. So split them out. They'll perform completely differently. All right, so I will see you on the next video.